What if I told you that Elon Musk didn't become the most powerful man on Earth because he built electric cars, launched rockets, or created AI? What if those were just the visible pieces of something far more strategic? A system designed not to compete in markets, but to control existential dependencies. By the end of this story, you'll understand why Musk doesn't own companies. He owns choke points, infrastructure so critical that governments, militaries, and entire populations cannot function without him. And the terrifying part? This wasn't luck. It wasn't genius. It was engineered. If you want stories that reveal the strategies hiding in plain sight, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and leave a like to help us reach 100 subscribers. What you're about to hear isn't about innovation. It's about strategic inevitability. It's October 2008. Hawthorne, California. Inside a nondescript industrial building near Los Angeles International Airport, Elon Musk sits in a conference room with 12 engineers. The walls are bare concrete. The air smells like metal and solder. SpaceX has just experienced its third consecutive rocket failure. Tesla is weeks away from bankruptcy. Musk has $40 million left, enough to save one company, but not both. The media has written him off. Investors have abandoned him. Even his closest advisors are telling him to cut his losses. But Musk isn't looking at balance sheets. He's looking at a map. Not a map of markets or customers, a map of dependencies. Energy, transportation, communication, space access, military infrastructure. And he's identified something that no one else has seen. Every existential crisis humanity faces requires solutions that don't exist yet. Climate change needs sustainable energy. Planetary survival needs space colonization. National security needs independent satellite networks. Economic transformation needs digital currency infrastructure. And whoever builds those solutions first doesn't just create products. They create dependencies. In that moment, Musk makes a decision that will reshape global power for decades. He chooses both companies. He splits his remaining $40 million between SpaceX and Tesla, even though the math says both will fail. But here's what the engineers in that room don't understand yet. Musk isn't betting on success. He's betting on necessity. Because if he's right about the dependencies, if energy and space really are existential bottlenecks, then failure becomes temporary, but position becomes permanent. 3 months later, SpaceX's fourth rocket reaches orbit. NASA, desperate for a domestic launch capability after the Space Shuttle program's mounting costs, awards SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract. Tesla secures a last-minute investment from Daimler for $50 million. Both companies survive. But more importantly, both become infrastructure. To understand how Musk accumulated power that transcends wealth, you need to understand what happened before 2008. Not the official biography, not the PayPal millionaire builds rockets story. The real pattern, the one that reveals a strategy most people never noticed. 1999, Palo Alto, California. Musk has just sold Zip2, his first company, for $307 million. He's 28 years old and suddenly wealthy. Most entrepreneurs in his position would diversify, invest conservatively, enjoy the wealth. Musk does the opposite. He immediately pours $10 million into a new startup called X.com, an online bank. Not a payment processor, not a fintech app. A bank. Because Musk has identified something. The financial system is a dependency choke point. Whoever controls payment infrastructure controls commerce itself. Within a year, X.com merges with a competitor called Confinity, which has developed a payment system called PayPal. By 2002, eBay acquires PayPal for $1.5 billion. Musk walks away with $180 million. But here's what's important. He didn't just make money. He learned how infrastructure monopolies work. PayPal didn't succeed because it was the best payment system. It succeeded because it became the only viable option for eBay transactions. Once a dependency is established, competition becomes irrelevant. That lesson will define everything Musk does next. 2002. Los Angeles. With his PayPal wealth, Musk starts looking for his next move. Most investors are focused on the internet boom's aftermath: social media, search engines, software. Musk goes in a completely different direction. Physical infrastructure. He identifies 3 dependency choke points that no one in Silicon Valley is pursuing. Energy. Fossil fuels are finite, climate change is accelerating, and no viable alternative exists at scale space access. Launch costs are astronomical, controlled by governments and Boeing, Lockheed monopoly transportation. Cities are choking on traffic and pollution with no systemic solution. These aren't markets. They're existential problems. And existential problems have a unique characteristic: governments will eventually pay whatever it takes to solve them. So Musk doesn't start companies to compete in existing markets. He starts companies to own the inevitable solutions to crises that haven't fully materialized yet. 2003-2008. The foundation phase. Musk invests heavily in Tesla, initially as chairman, later as CEO, and founds SpaceX. The media portrays this as idealism, a billionaire passionate about saving the planet and exploring space. But internal documents from Tesla's early years tell a different story. In a 2006 strategy memo, Musk writes, "We're not building a car company. We're building an energy company that happens to start with cars. The real value is in battery technology, charging infrastructure, and eventually grid storage. Whoever controls energy storage controls the transition to renewables." Translation: Tesla was never about cars. It was about controlling the energy dependency of the future. Similarly, SpaceX wasn't about making humanity multiplanetary, not initially. It was about breaking the Boeing-Lockheed monopoly on space access and positioning SpaceX as the only cost-effective launch provider. By 2010, NASA's budget is under pressure. The space shuttle is retiring. The U.S. is paying Russia $70 million per seat to reach the International Space Station. SpaceX offers launches at $60 million, less than half the cost of traditional providers. NASA has no choice. SpaceX becomes critical infrastructure. Now let's fast forward to the 2010s, because this is when the strategy accelerates. 2012, SpaceX begins landing reusable rockets. This isn't just innovation. It's cost elimination that makes competitors obsolete. Traditional aerospace companies can't match SpaceX's launch prices because they're using 50-year-old business models. SpaceX isn't better. It's structurally different. Within 5 years, SpaceX captures 60% of the global commercial launch market. But more importantly, the U.S. military becomes dependent on SpaceX for national security satellite launches. 2015. Tesla unveils the Powerwall home battery. The media focuses on the sleek design and environmental benefits, but read the technical specifications. These aren't just backup batteries. They're distributed grid storage nodes. Tesla is building a system where millions of homes become interconnected energy assets, controllable, monetizable, and eventually essential to grid stability as solar and wind replace fossil fuels. By 2020, Tesla Energy, the division most people ignore, is installing grid-scale battery systems in California, Australia, and Texas. When Texas experiences catastrophic power failures in 2021, Tesla's battery installations are among the few systems that keep functioning. Infrastructure that works when everything else fails becomes indispensable. 2019. Starlink begins deployment. Musk announces a plan to launch 12 000 satellites to provide global internet coverage. The public reaction is mixed. Environmentalists worry about space debris. Competitors call it unrealistic. But look at who's paying attention. The Pentagon. Because Starlink isn't just consumer internet. It's military-grade communication infrastructure that can't be shut down by terrestrial attacks. By 2022, when Russia invades Ukraine, Starlink becomes critical battlefield infrastructure, providing communication when all other networks are destroyed. The U.S. military quietly integrates Starlink into defense operations. Musk now controls the communication infrastructure that modern warfare depends on. He didn't build it for the military, but the military can't function without it. Now we arrive at 2022-2024, and the pattern becomes undeniable, because this is when Musk stops being a CEO and becomes something else entirely, a single point of failure for critical global systems. October 2022, Musk acquires Twitter for $44 billion. The media portrays this as ego, impulsiveness, a billionaire's vanity project. But look at what Twitter actually is. The global public communication infrastructure. World leaders, journalists, activists, corporations, they all depend on Twitter to reach audiences instantly. Musk doesn't buy it to make money. Twitter has never been reliably profitable. He buys it because whoever controls the primary channel of public discourse controls narrative itself. Within months, Musk begins restructuring Twitter's content moderation, algorithmic prioritization, and verification systems. Governments around the world, from the EU to Brazil to India, suddenly find themselves negotiating with a private individual about what speech is permissible in their countries. Think about that power dynamic. Sovereign nations negotiating with one man about information access. That's not wealth, that's structural authority. 2023. The AI race begins. OpenAI releases ChatGPT. Google scrambles to compete. Microsoft invests billions. Musk, who co-founded OpenAI in 2015 before leaving over strategic disagreements, announces xAI, his own artificial intelligence company. The stated goal: understand the true nature of the universe. The actual goal: ensure no other entity achieves AI dominance without Musk having a countermeasure. Because here's what Musk understands that most people don't. AI isn't a product. It's the ultimate dependency. Whoever controls advanced AI controls decision-making infrastructure for finance, defense, healthcare, logistics, everything. And Musk has no intention of letting Google, OpenAI, or China control that dependency without him holding a critical position. Let's step back and see the full picture. Energy storage. Tesla controls the battery technology that enables renewable energy at scale. Space access. SpaceX is the only cost-effective launch provider, critical for satellites, military, and eventual space colonization. Communication. Starlink provides global internet that can't be shut down by terrestrial attacks. Public discourse. X, Twitter, is the primary platform for real-time global conversation. Transportation. Tesla is pushing toward autonomous vehicles that could obsolete traditional car ownership. AI infrastructure. xAI positions Musk in the race for artificial general intelligence. This isn't a portfolio of businesses. It's a monopoly on existential dependencies. And the terrifying part: Musk controls all of it directly. No board can overrule him. No shareholders can force his hand. No government can regulate him without risking critical infrastructure disruption. April 2024. A closed-door meeting in Washington. D.C. Pentagon officials, NASA administrators, and State Department representatives gathered to discuss what they're calling strategic concentration risk. The topic: America's critical infrastructure is dependent on one individual. If Musk becomes incapacitated, hostile, or compromised, the U.S. loses primary space launch capability, military satellite communications, grid-scale energy storage, advanced AI development. But here's the paradox: they can't do anything about it, because the dependencies are already established. The infrastructure is already critical. The alternatives are years or decades away. Musk has achieved something unprecedented. He's become too important to constrain. So let me tell you what this story is really about. It's not about whether Elon Musk is good or evil. It's not about whether his companies succeed or fail. It's about something far more fundamental. The realization that in the 21st century, power doesn't come from wealth. It comes from controlling the systems that define survival itself. Musk didn't become powerful by being the richest person on Earth. He became powerful by making the planet dependent on his infrastructure. Energy, space, communication, transportation, AI. These aren't markets. They're civilizational dependencies. And whoever controls them doesn't need to negotiate, doesn't need to compromise, doesn't even need to be liked, because necessity overrides everything. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Musk's strategy worked because he understood something most people never grasp. The greatest power isn't the ability to win. It's the ability to become indispensable. You don't need to be the best if you're the only option. You don't need approval if people need you to survive. And here's the question that keeps experts awake at night. Was this calculated from the beginning, or did it just happen? Did Musk deliberately architect a system where global civilization becomes dependent on his companies? Or did he just pursue interesting problems, and this was the inevitable result? I don't know the answer. But I know what the outcome is. In 2024, one man controls how nations access space, how billions communicate, how renewable energy scales, the direction of artificial intelligence. That's not wealth. That's not even influence. That's structural power. And the most terrifying part? There's no mechanism to reverse it. Because the dependencies are real. The infrastructure is critical. The alternatives don't exist. Musk didn't conquer the world. He made the world unable to function without him. If this story changed how you see power in the modern world, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It helps more than you can imagine. And the next time someone tells you Elon Musk is just a businessman, remember, businessmen sell products. Musk controls dependencies. And in a world of existential crises, the person who owns the solutions doesn't need permission. They just need you to need them.